This is a Gemara Shir and Perek in Gemara Mציעא, Perek השוכר סעומנים דף פ' עמוד א'. The second Mishnah on the page, and it's going to be 3 set shiurim, 3 parts. So today we're going to learn part 1 from the Mishnah till the word Titnan in the Gemara, which the Gemara starts a series of questions. We're going to have an introduction to this piece of Gemara. Number 1. There is measurements of weight, which is like pound, ounces, and so on and so forth. And there is measurements of space, okay? Measurements of space that we're going to use is kav, lesech, kav, se'ol, lesech, and kur, okay? Each kur has in it 30 se'ol, also has in it 180 kav, and 2 lesech. Okay, that's the measurement. This Mishnah is going to talk about when somebody is renting a donkey to bring in it the max amount of weight that he can bring from wheat, and instead he's changing it to bring barley. Now he changed the barley, but he figure out that since barley is lighter than wheat, so if he's going to add more barley on the weight, it's not going to be a big deal. But the behemoth got hurt, and the question of the Gemara is, the question of the Mishnah, what we're going to talk about is how much did he add that it's going to make him chayiv. Okay? Now it's going to be a machloikes in the Gemara between Abaye and Rebbe. And the machloikes comes from one letter, a lamed or a chof. One letter makes a huge difference. Now, we're going to use these boxes. This box is 1 lesech, which is 15 so, which is 9 dekabim. Now, in the help with our Talmud, Nosson Gurari, we figure out that 9 dekabim of chitim is 360 pounds. And 9 dekabim of soirim is 348 pounds, which is 12 pounds less. So now this guy, he says to himself, a lesech is a space, okay? So he brought a lesech he was supposed to bring a lesech of soirim, and instead he brought a lesech he was supposed to bring a lesech of chitim, and instead he brought a lesech of soirim. So he figured out, hey, the weight is less, let me add. I can add 12 more pounds. Or I can add even more. So the question is, how much is he going to add, and he's going to be chayv? Now it's a machlokes in the Gemara how to learn the Mishnah. We're going to learn the Mishnah the way it's written according to Abaye. Now there is 2 halachas in the Mishnah, and the rest of the Mishnah is just an explanation. Okay? So now, according to Abaye, we're going to put this box on the side for a second. According to Abaye, this is 3 kabim. If you added 3 kabim, now he really added, by adding 3 kabim, all he did is coming to the weight of the chitim, which is 360 pounds. He didn't add any weight. Abaye says that the moment you add more space, as if you add more weight, and if the behemoth got hurt, you chayiv. Now the shiurim is according to the Torah. It's been a Torah. It's halacha l'Moshe Sinai. So the number is the Aryeh and Abaye got to number 3. It's halacha l'Moshe Sinai. The number is 3 to get hurt. But Abaye holds that even if you had 3 kabim of just space, even though you didn't add any more weight, you chayiv. Rebbe says no. If you added just 3 kabim, all you did is added more space. Space doesn't affect the behemoth, doesn't get hurt. So Rebbe says like this: in order for the behemoth to get hurt, you need to add 6 kabim. Why? Because the first 3 kabim is the added. Now we got into the weight of the chitim. Now he's adding 3 more kabim. Now he's adding more space and more weight. This is the magic number 3. So it's a total of 6 kabim, which is 1 se'ol. Then you chayiv, but less than that you're not chayiv. This is the introduction to the Mishnah. Let's read now the Mishnah inside. Zog the Eilike Mishnah. Asoicher sachamoyer. Somebody rented a donkey to bring on it the max amount of chitim, which is 90 kabim. which is, Nosson says, which is 360 pounds of weight. Ve'hevi ol hasoirim. And instead, he brought on the behema, he brought barley, but he added, because it was less weight, so he added 3 more kabim. How do we know that's 3 more kabim? According to Abai, because the Mishnah is going to say it later on. It's chayiv. A second case, it's not really a second case, it's very similar to the first case. Tvoi was supposed to bring grain, ve'hevi ol hateven, and instead he brought wheat. Chayiv. And now the Mishnah explains, mipnei, because she'anefach kosher kemaso yudachof. According to Abai, it says a chof in the Mishnah, not a lamed. Because space is hard for the behemah as if you added weight. The moment you add space, as if you added weight, and if you added the magic number, which is number 3, you're going to be chayiv. Let's read the Rashi. Ve'hevi ol hasoirim, says the Helik Rashi, she'en kali mechitim, which is lighter than chitim. Chayiv bekilkulo, is chayiv if the behemah got hurt. When imoisiv gimel kabim, if he added 3 kabim. Rashi says, v'lo yamrinenu, we don't say. Rashi is trying to avoid something. Oil v'asoyim kalim, since the soirim is lighter. Yesh lo lo isifat kedei kovet lesser chitim, he's able to add till the weight of the chitim and then to add more. We do not say it. Done. Rather, what do we say? That the moment you add more space of 2 kabim, and you're going to be chayiv. Now Rashi adds also, shemasa chamoyer, the weight that the chamoyer can carry, lesser chitim is 1 lesser of chitim, which is a half a kur, which is 90 kabim, and so on and so forth. And 15 so. Next Rashi, v'nei she'anefach kosher lebeimo kemasoy, v'keivan denefach lesser soirim, since a nefach, the space of a lesser soirim, ken nefach lesser soirim, it's the space of a lesser of chitim, kosher lo toisefes. It's hard for the behemoth when you add it, even though you didn't add any weight, even though all you added is space, it's hard for the behemoth. Next part of the Mishnah. He was supposed to bring a lesser chitim and he brought a lesser soirim. What did he do? He didn't do anything. He didn't add. As Rashi says, shelo yoisif, potu. And Rashi says, he may so if she dies. Okay? Now Rashi, let's continue the Mishnah. The Mishnah is saying a very important thing. The Mishnah is clear from before. We said, according to Abai, before we said that if you had 3 kabim, you chayiv. How do we know that? How did Abai got it? So Rashi, Abai learns that the next part of the Mishnah is just an explanation. It's not a nudin. It's just an explanation to explain to us what did we learn. No. We learned before in the Mishnah that if you added on the way to chayiv, how much if you add it on the weight, you're going to be chayiv, because you didn't tell me, you just told me you're chayiv. Sumcha says in the name of Rabbi Meir, se'ol a gomel, if you added 1 se'ol to a gomel, to a camel, shloisha kabim lachamoir, if you added 3 kabim to a chamoir, you're chayiv. And this is where Abai took his shita from these 2 things. So Abai took his shita from the last part of the Mishnah, and from the chof, nefach kosher kemasoi. The Mishnah is just adding over here another halacha, se'ol a gomel. So now, how much can a camel carry? So we can learn from the chamoir. From the chamoir, we know 2 information. Number 1, we know the chamoir can carry 90 kabim. We also know that a chamoir, when he gets hurt, if you added 3 kabim, which means that out of each 30 kabim, when you add, you chayiv. That's 1 out of 30. So when you have a chamoir can carry 90, if you add 3, you chayiv. Therefore, if the amount for the camel is 6 to get hurt, so that means we're doubling out the amount that a camel can carry, which is 180 kabim, which is a whole course. So a camel can carry double than a donkey. Let's go to the Mishnah. Itma, we'll learn an argument of Omeroim. Abaye Omar, Abaye says, kosher kemaso itnam. The words in the Mishnah is nefach kosher kemaso yudachof. Rove Omar, Rove says, kosher lemaso itnam. In the Mishnah it says nefach kosher lemaso yudelamed. What's the difference? Now the Gemara explains. Abaye Omar kosher kemaso itnam. Nifro kitiklo. According to Abaye, space it will affect the behemoth as much as weight. Which means If you added space, as if you added weight, and if you added too much, you chayiv. Ve'imoisi shloisha kabim. Therefore, if you add 3 kabim, you chayiv. Rashi. Kosher kemasoi, says Rashi, kede prishis, as I explained in the Mishnah. Even though the weight of the soirim is not as heavy as the chitim, but their space is kenefach chitim, is the space of the chitim. Vehanefach kemasoi, and space is just like weight. Therefore, you're going to be high if you add a 3. Nifcha ketiklo, says Rashi, nefach kosher kemishkal. Space is hard for the beime as much as if you added weight. So therefore, oil venifcham shove, since the space is the same, because lesech chitim and lesech soirim is the same space, it's therefore it's the same weight. So now what are you doing? You're adding more space. Space is like weight, so we're going to be high. If you added 3 kabim, that's the shiur. Remember the magic number 3 to hurt the beime. Let's go back to the Gemara. The words of the Mishnah is udalamed. Nefach kosher lemasu, which means tiklo ketiklo. Weight is like weight. Let's not mix up weight and space. Weight is weight. Venifcho avetoisefes, and space is going to be an addition. Meaning, if you have already the maximum weight of the chitim, you mean you bought barley and you have the maximum weight of the chitim, then you added more space with more weight, which is again the magic number 3. Then it's going to hurt the beime. But if you did less, like 5.99, you did nothing. Kosher lemaso, it says Rashi, im ishvo koyved hasoirim lekoyved hachitim, if he leveled the weight of the soirim to the weight of the chitim, kegoin shoisif seo shleima al lesach, for example, that he added a whole seo on the lesach, areir ba'nefach, he added a lot of space. And then so much space, then it's hard to the beime as weight, for the weight. This space, which is a whole se'ah, in addition to her the donkey. Tiklo ketiklo, einoi chayev, is not chayev, at sheyashve koyved hasoirim lekoyved hachitim. He's not chayev. Number 1, he has to even out the weight of the soirim to the weight of the chitim. Then the addition space that you're adding, then it's going to hurt the beime. But if the space is the same, and the weight is less, we don't say that the same space is like weight, like Abaye says. And you should be chayev in an addition of 3 kabim. All this we do not say, because we don't hold like Abaye. Why? The kosher lemasu is 9. It says it's going to be hard for the beime lemasu, meaning in addition to the weight. Nefach kosher lemasu. Space is going to hard for the beime in addition to the weight, not by itself. Veloy kosher kemasu. And it doesn't say with a chof that nefach is hard for the beime as much as weight. Okay? Now in Mirza Hashem later on, the Gemara is going to ask one question on Rove from the Mishnah, because if you look at the Mishnah, with the way we learn the Mishnah, it sounds like it's a clear proof to Abaye, not to Rove. The Gemara answers, and then we're going to learn after the Gemara is going to answer Rove's opinion. We're going to learn the whole Mishnah according to Rove, and then the Gemara is going to bring a brayse. It's going to be a proof to Rove, and the Gemara is going to answer that, and then that's it. Thank you for listening.